Hey everybody, this is a Smith & Wesson 69 in 44 mag, and I said I'm going to maybe make a video of what I do for a action job. Well, I'm going to try and see if I can get it apart around the around the camera. So once you get the grips off, the first thing you got to do is you got to slack off the tension on the mainspring, and the reason for that is you don't want tension on the mainspring, because all the pins, you're going to be taking the side plate off, and half the pins are going to be on the cover, and then that cover is then not supporting the other side of the pin, of the pivot pin, and that can cause that pin to break off. So that screw is different to the other two, so keep it separate. And when you get these screws out, don't pry on the side cover. All you need to do is just bang on it. Okay, so just kind of hold your thumb. I hold my thumb over it, and I just you just hit the frame, and the side cover pops off. So don't bang on the don't try and pry on it, you'll damage the gun. And there we go. So that's what it looks like. So there's the mainspring that can come out. This is the safety lever. That was the hammer spring, and there's the trigger return spring. So what I do is I buff up all the stuff. I'm going to try and take it apart on camera. So I pull the trigger slightly and wiggle up on that. That comes apart, and in there is a teeny little spring, and that's got to come up because we're going to buff this. I will try and make a video after I've buffed everything up. I'm going to set that one side, and when you there, a little Smith tool over there, get that in there and just lever that up, and there's the hammer return spring. So that's out. Once that's out, you can pull back on that and lift out the trigger. So that's the trigger, and once you got that out, you can open the cylinder, and the cylinder can come out. So that's out. So while you got it in this position, now you start looking for drag marks, and you can see there's a drag mark there, and then you find the corresponding the culprit on the other end that's causing said drag mark, and then you buff it away. You can take it further and take out, this is the block. You can take those out. I normally don't. I see if there's any drag marks on them. If there's no drag marks on them, I'll leave them in place, because why would you want to buff them out? This needs to come out, but I won't be able to do that on camera. I will lose that little spring if I do that, because I've got to keep you got to pick it out with a pick, and I'm not gonna do that. But so when you buff, when you polish the stuff, it's important not to polish the sides of the bolt stop, because that will affect the timing. It's important not to shorten that bit, because that will affect the timing of the gun. And it's important to stay away from that surface, because that is the sear interaction. On the hammer, you need to polish all of this, and that needs to be rounded up. Stay away from that surface, because that also will affect that's the sear interaction. I polish the sides of the hammer, the sides of the trigger, and I polish the heck out of this thing, because the slides on the frame, I'll polish all of that up. After the polish, so if you look at the frame, there's a telltale sign of friction over there, a little bit there, and a little bit there. and there was a bit there which I polished out on this. This is the lock. There's a key that goes in there and then you can lock the gun on there, and I'll show you why I did it there. Normally I don't try and polish anything on the gun itself. You always, any work you do, you try and do it on the replaceable part, the least expensive part. So, you know, if you stuff up a hammer, you can get a new hammer, but if you stuffed up the frame, that's the gun. So anyway, what I use to polish with is this in a Dremel. This is like it's a rubber wheel, and if you look, you might see a shiny bit in it. It's a rubber wheel with some abrasive in it, and so you don't need to. It's not like a woolen mop where you need to dip in, you know, in the polishing compound. It's kind of all in there, and you just wear it up. It works very well. So back to that spot. So if you can see right over there, and that's not me polishing there, that's a wear mark, and that wear mark is on that you know, on that lock mechanism. And I didn't want to polish that up because that bit above that line is what sticks out above the frame. So then you'll have the silver bit. It's going to have a silver bit there, but it was silver when I started off. Anyway, so everything else is below the frame, and it's smooth as glass. All the surfaces. This is where the double action runs on, and then there's the single. The single action is untouched. You kind of stay clear of it. Same on the trigger. Same thing. So I draw a line. I put the hammer in the gun, and I draw a line with a Sharpie or Koki pen, whatever you want to call it, and then polish above it, so what hangs out below the frame looks original, and then just polish it up. And that is the sear interface over there. Also I polish kind of up to it, but not over it. That's the little arm that works the double action, and it kind of needs to slip over that point. That's the arm that rotates the hand that rotates the cylinder. The cylinder stop, all polished up. On the sides, I just touch it because you don't want to make that narrow. If you make that narrow, this is what takes the backlash out of the cylinder. So you don't want to make that any narrower. But all of that's smooth, and that's the trigger return spring sits in there. The spring pushes the trigger back, and you fight that spring, and that's the part that causes the friction over there. And that big line that's there on all of them, I've not seen a single smith that's not done that. And that goes in there, and all of them, that pin overhangs. That pin overhangs, and that's what causes that friction there. So that's it. So we'll drop in a reduced power spring, a 13-pound hammer return. Normally they got about an 18-pounder in, so I'll start off with a 13, and then the heaviest one I've got is a 15. If it doesn't want to reset, I'll go back to that, and then just a Wolf you know, hammer spring, and then lube it all up with super lube. It's a synthetic grease with right over there PTFE, which is Teflon, so it is as slick as can be once you got that in. None of the trigger angles have been changed, so it's not really a trigger job. It's more of a, you know, smoothing out the action. Stay safe. We talk again.